This story was sent in by someone who used to work in medical research. He asked me to change his name, but he wanted the world to know what happened when he took part in a secret trial. The drug wasn't made to heal people. It was designed to control them through the one thing nobody talks about, lust. My name is Kyle. I used to be a broke biology grad living in Chicago, working night shifts and burning out during the day. A friend of mine told me about these underground clinical trials, quiet, quick, and off the record. They didn't ask for much, just a clean history, no mental illness and no major health issues. I signed up for a 2-week private trial run by a company called Nova Medica. No online presence, no lab photos, just a clean office space downtown with frosted glass and a doctor who smiled too much. The trial was simple. Take a pill every morning, journal what I felt, and stay isolated in a corporate apartment. The pill was marked D46. They called it the desire regulator, a drug to help patients with low libido. They never told me how it actually worked. The first dose didn't do much. I just felt a bit jittery. By day 2, I started noticing weird things. I wasn't just more aroused. I was distracted. Obsessively. Every thought, every person I passed on the street, even the commercials on TV, everything felt stimulating. By day 4, it became harder to look people in the eye. A woman walked her dog outside the apartment. I remember pressing my face against the window, heart pounding like I was watching something illegal. My dreams became vivid. Bodies, faces, always faceless, moving in the dark, crawling on top of me. I woke up drenched in sweat. The next day, I wrote a journal entry saying, "It's not just sexual, it's invasive, like my mind isn't mine anymore." They increased the dosage. Day 6, I had a panic attack. I couldn't leave the apartment. Not because I wasn't allowed, but because I didn't trust myself. I stood in front of the mirror, breathing hard, shirt off, eyes sunken. I'd stare at my reflection for hours, whispering to it, telling it what I wanted to do to people. I saw outside, then I stopped eating and sleeping. I didn't need to anymore. My body ran on something else now. I started hallucinating. Or maybe I wasn't. One night I woke up to find the woman from across the building standing in my kitchen, naked. She smiled at me, her eyes completely black. Then she melted, right in front of me. Her skin slid off her body like wax, and her head tilted sideways, mouth whispering, "You're almost ready," I screamed. "I think." No one came. On day 9, I broke the lock and ran. I don't remember leaving. I just remember waking up in a motel outside the city with blood on my hands. The TV was on. It was a local report. Unidentified man found dead in Lakefront Trail. Cause of death unknown. Eyes removed. No signs of sexual assault. But I knew. I felt what I did. I called Nova Medica. The number was disconnected. I went back to the office downtown. It was empty, like it had never been there. I tried going to a hospital. They didn't believe me. They said I was on drugs. One nurse whispered, "It's another D case. Get psych." I ran again. Eventually, I met someone online, a man named Greg who said he had taken D46 years ago. He lived in Detroit now, off-grid. He told me the drug was a failure, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. "It doesn't make you want people," he said. "It makes you need them, to the point you'll ruin them, tear them apart just to feel something." Greg showed me photos. 17 former test subjects, only 4 were alive. The rest either went missing or were found dismembered, having pleasured themselves even while dying. "It's not a libido enhancer," Greg said. "It's a parasite, a synthetic one. They didn't test it to help people. They tested it to control them. Desire is the most powerful weapon. I haven't taken the pill in weeks, but I still see things. Last night the woman from the kitchen came back. This time she climbed into bed with me. Her breath was cold. Her voice was like cracked glass. "You're not done, you're chosen." I woke up with scratch marks on my chest and something missing from my fridge. I live far from anyone now. No phone, no contact. But if you're watching this, and someone offers you a trial for something called D46, don't walk away, run. That was Kyle's story. If what he's saying is true, then there's a drug out there that doesn't just affect the body, it turns the mind into a weapon. Let me... This story was sent in by a guy who recently moved out of Brooklyn after something happened that still haunts him every time he sees a drop of blood. It's not just about obsession or manipulation, it's about something older, something hungry. Moved into the building during the off-season. Quiet place, mostly students and couples. My unit was 4B. Directly across the hall was 4C. I met her the first week. She knocked on my door to borrow a lighter. She was barefoot, wearing a black tank top and pajama pants, with a smudge of red on her mouth. Lipstick, I thought. Her voice was soft, her eyes sharp. "You're new," she said. "Don't worry, I don't bite." Her name was Maris. She had no furniture, just candles. She painted on her floor using what she said was berry juice, but it looked like dried blood. She laughed a lot, but it was always at something I didn't understand. She asked to hang out often, mostly late at night, and every time she came over, she brought a knife, not in a threatening way, more like a ritual. She'd run the blade along her finger. "Pain helps me stay grounded," she said. I should have said no, but I didn't. After a week, I couldn't stop thinking about her. It wasn't just attraction. It was like my brain had rerouted itself around her. I'd see her in flashes, on my ceiling, in reflections, even in my dreams. Always the same, smiling, bleeding, watching. She started asking for blood. Just a drop at first, a nosebleed, a shaving cut. "You taste sharp," she said once, "like you've seen death." One night she pulled out a scalpel and asked, "Can I take a little from your wrist?" I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. She cut me, licked it, moaned like it was ecstasy. That's when I should have walked away, but instead, I let her stay the night. When I woke up, she was sitting at the edge of my bed, watching me sleep, whispering, "You're starting to change. Soon you'll crave it too." I stopped eating, stopped going outside. I started having cravings, not for food, for the feeling of pain, of bleeding, of giving. I caught myself scratching my arms raw just to see red, and every time I did, she'd show up. Without knocking, I found her one night in my bathtub, filled with red water. She looked up at me with black eyes and said, "You're becoming beautiful." I tried calling a friend to stay with me, but my phone wouldn't turn on. Every charger I used would melt. She came into my dreams. Except they didn't feel like dreams. They felt like rituals, like she was taking parts of me bit by bit. I finally broke down and visited an old professor of mine, Dr. Weiss, a cultural anthropologist. I described Maris to him, her habits, the blood, the mind games. He didn't laugh. He got real quiet. Then he pulled out a book I'd never seen before. Old cracked leather, smelled like rot. He showed me a page with a sketch. The creature had no eyes, no mouth, only teeth. The name underneath was Maris. "It's not a person," he said. "It's a parasite. Lustful, psychic, ancient. It doesn't drink blood to survive. It drinks to bond, to infect, to enslave." I asked how to stop it. He said I'd already let her in too deep. "She doesn't live in your hallway anymore. She lives in your nervous system." I went back to the apartment and found the door to 4C wide open. There was no furniture, no candles, no floor, just a black pit in the center of the room, and hundreds of drawings taped to the walls, each one of me in different poses, bleeding, screaming, skin peeling off. One showed me smiling with no eyes. I turned to run, but she was behind me, naked, bloody, beautiful. "You tried to leave," she said, "but I'm inside you now." She placed her hand on my chest, and I swear, my heartbeat changed. It matched hers, slower, heavier, hungry. I blacked out. When I woke up, the apartment was empty, completely normal. No pit, no drawings, no MAREs, except I still crave blood sometimes, especially during sex, and when I look at myself in the mirror, there's something behind my eyes, something waiting. I don't know if she's still out there, or if I've just become her now. All I know is, if someone ever asks to taste your pain, run. Don't let them in, not even once, because desire isn't just an emotion. For some things, it's an infection. That was a story from someone who may have survived a lust demon or become one. Let me know in the comments if you've ever met someone who felt too addictive to be human. This story comes from a guy named Mason who wanted to share a relationship story he says nearly destroyed his soul. It didn't end in heartbreak. It ended in something far worse. And it started with a girl who didn't have a reflection. I met her at the farmer's market near my apartment in Austin, Texas. She was stunning. Tall, pale skin, jet black hair tied back loosely. She wore an oversized hoodie even though it was 90 degrees out. She was selling hand-painted portraits, faces of strangers in surreal colors, like they were melting or half-transformed. One painting looked exactly like me. I laughed and said, "That's creepy. Looks like you've seen me in your nightmares." She just smiled and said, "No, but I think I'll be seeing you in mine." Her name was Leora. No last name, no social media, no friends. We started dating that week. The first red flag should have been her apartment. She lived above an abandoned bookstore. The entire place smelled like burned candles and old hair. There were mirrors everywhere, but always covered with sheets. When I asked why, she said, "Reflections." Lie, they show too much. She had weird habits, only ate raw fruits, never drank anything except herbal tea she made herself, and every night at 3 a.m. she would get up and go into the bathroom and lock the door. I'd hear whispering, hissing, sometimes humming like a lullaby, but in a language I didn't understand. One night I peeked. She was standing in front of the mirror, uncovered this time, just staring. But there was no reflection. Nothing. I blinked, thought I was tired. But when I looked again, there was something in the mirror, but it wasn't her. It was something wearing her face. I closed the door and pretended I saw nothing. I started having nightmares. I'd wake up next to her and she'd be wrong. Her mouth too wide, her arms too long, her eyes black like voids. I'd scream and she'd ask what was wrong in the softest, sweetest voice. By morning, I'd convinced myself it was just stress. One night I stayed up late and went through her sketchbook. The drawings weren't portraits anymore. They were diagrams, skin being peeled off, bones arranged in circular patterns, faces drawn over and over until they became something else. Some had my name written underneath. She caught me reading it. She didn't get mad. She just stared and whispered, "You weren't supposed to see the process." That night I woke up paralyzed. She was crouched on top of me, her face inches from mine. She whispered in a deep, raspy voice, not hers, "Your skin fits well. I want to wear it next." Then everything went black. I tried leaving the next day, packed my bags, blocked her number, but she showed up that night at 3:03 a.m. knocking on my door. Softly, repeatedly. I didn't answer, but I looked through the peephole. She was smiling, not blinking, and she was holding something. It was my reflection. No, I'm serious. She held a mirror in one hand, and in it I wasn't there. Only her twice. Then I heard her voice inside my apartment even though the door was locked. "If you don't want to be with me, I'll wear you instead." The lights flickered. My skin felt cold and tight, like it was shrinking. I ran to the bathroom, and there it was again, the mirror. Only this time my reflection looked terrified and it mouthed the words, "Help me." I drove straight to my aunt's place in Oklahoma. She's into old world occult stuff. Used to talk about skinwalkers and mirror demons when I was a kid. I told her everything. She didn't laugh. She didn't even blink. She said, "She's painted, a skin demon. They wear beauty like a mask, but inside they're hollow. The mirror can't lie, so they avoid it. They seduce, consume, then wear you to get closer to others." I asked how to stop her. She gave me a small shard of obsidian. "Keep it under your tongue. They can't copy your soul if it's protected." I stayed hidden for days, but she found me again. Leora, or whatever it was now. She knocked once, then whispered through the crack, "You can't run from your own skin." My aunt burned sage and salt and held me down as I convulsed. For hours I screamed, saw flashes of Leora melting, screaming, turning into something insect-like, then vanishing. When it ended, the house was silent. But my reflection still doesn't match me. It's a little off. I don't date anymore. I don't look in mirrors. And I never answer my door after midnight. But sometimes I still hear her voice from the other side of the glass. "You never loved me. You just loved the skin. So if you ever meet someone who's too beautiful and too perfect, try looking in a mirror while they stand behind you. If you don't see them," that was Mason's story. "And if what he experienced is even half real, there may be things out there that don't need to kill you to take your life, and they just need to wear you."